Welcome to Madison Square Garden in the heart of New York City for Magic the Gathering Pro Tour New York team competition. Hello everyone, I'm Todd Harris. Well, normally Magic is played on a one-on-one basis, but today 110 three-person teams have traveled from around the world, all in hopes of taking home a share of the $200,000 in prize money. The ultimate goal being the top team and taking home $60,000 between the three of them. Well, let's step inside the hallowed halls of MSG and find out who will land the knockout punch and go the distance. Potato Nation's Gary Wise faces Car Acrobatic Team's Aaron Forsythe in the first of our final three matches. Then two old friends square off as Michael Turian plays Andrew Cunyo in match number 2. Turian's roommate Andrew Johnson takes on Turian's teammate Scott Johns in the final match. Here's Worth Wolpert and Randy Bueller to explain the format.
Pro Tour New York uses a Team Rochester draft format. Three-person teams face off against each other for a draft before every round of competition. Packs are opened and selections are made one at a time, but no talking is allowed. The players use hand signals to communicate strategy and make suggestions to their teammates.
The players then construct a 40-card deck from the cards they drafted and play the opposing team member who sat opposite them during the draft. Since everyone knows ahead of time who they're going to play, it's a very different dynamic from individual draft. Let's hear what some of the players think about what makes a good team.
In order to have a good team, you need to have three players who are, first of all, good. Secondly, get along with each other, so pride's not going to get in the way of who gets what card. Lastly, that live near each other so they can practice.
I think it's more important that the players individually are experienced with the game of Magic than that they have practiced together.
You have to have a good team chemistry. Everyone makes mistakes, so when someone makes a mistake, you don't want to give them too hard of a time about it. You don't want it to be more damaging than the actual mistake was.
The most important element of the team strategy is teamwork. It doesn't seem like that should be important. It seems like, oh, the skill player, the strategy, but people that can blend together and work together, that's a really amazing aspect.
Don't go away, our first match, Gary Wise versus Aaron Forsythe, is coming up next. New York is stop one of this year's circuit. Here's a look at the decks in our first match.
The majority opinion was that Gary Wise had a matchup advantage after a solid draft on his part. Strong black and red creature removal spells such as Lunge, Sever Soul, and Flame Shot pair up well against Forsythe's base green deck. More importantly, his huge creatures are just bigger than anything Forsythe drafted.
Forsythe definitely has his work cut out for him, but his plan will be to try to get out as many creatures as fast as possible before Wise has a chance to draw into his game-breaking cards later on. Once Wise gets to 5 lands, watch for Forsythe to leave 3 lands on tap so Wise can't use his Rhystic Siphons.
Gary Wise is already up a game as we get ready to play game 2. In this best-out-of-3 format, Gary needs to win a second game in order for his team, Potato Nation, to take the match. Randy, what do you think of these guys?
There's a real contrast between these players and their teams. Potato Nation has 51 Pro Tours worth of experience collectively, while Car Acrobatic Team only has 14. That said, Aaron Forsythe has been on quite a hot streak lately. He came out of nowhere to finish 4th at U.S. Nationals, then helped the U.S. team claim the World's Team Championship.
It's not your age on there, Aaron.
Aaron gives Spore Frog a little whistle there. A little gamesmanship.
4th turn Spore Frog is not a great start. His plan, he's supposed to overwhelm Wise before Wise can build up to 6, 7, 8 mana and start casting the really expensive, enormous creatures in this deck. Wise's deck includes Volrath the Fallen. It includes Ascendant Evankar. He's also got a Delrage.
Yeah, Gary's got, oh wow, got the Mercenary Chain working like a charm. First, he played a 3rd turn Wrathy Intimidator, which is a pretty good creature in its own right, 2/1, and it can't be blocked by black or artifact creatures. Can only be blocked by black or artifact creatures, excuse me. And then he followed up with the Wrathy Fiend, which, when it comes into play, each player loses 3 life, and it searches out mercenaries that cost 3 or less out of your deck, puts them into play for free.
Forsythe doesn't want to see any free mercenaries, so
no, he sure doesn't.
He destroyed the Fiend with Rhystic Lightning.
Yep, Rhystic Lightning took out the Wrathy Fiend.
Bug beatings. Yep.
Spore Frog gets his beats in.
Go.
Oh wow, 5 mana and go from Aaron.
Right.
Wow.
Check.
Gary apparently does not know what the special ability on Wrath the Intimidator does. Oh, there's Cateran Kidnappers. That explains a lot. There's a 4/2 for 4 mana. Pretty much the same card in a sense that, oh wow.
The only white card in Forsythe's entire deck.
Searchers.
He splashed a couple of 2 planes and 1 topple so that he could destroy Gary's enormous creatures.
Yep.
The good news is he got rid of the Kidnapper, and there won't be any free mercenaries coming into play. 3 mana ones anyway. The bad news is that Kidnappers is actually small for Gary's deck.
Yeah, it is. The bad news is that Volrath and Ascendant Evancar stick around now.
And Delrage.
And Delrage.
There's Dolby's Percher, 2/2 flyer, and another little flyer, Misshapen Fiend. Seems like Forsythe kept a draw that had a number of removal spells.
Just leave home space for the next play. I'll take it.
14.
Boy, Forsythe just keeps playing land and saying done.
Yeah, it seems like he kept a draw with land and a couple of removal spells, but he's just kept drawing land.
My life is.
You're at 11 currently.
Take it.
Forsythe
Okay, Gary Wise sends 5 damage over. It's going to drop Aaron Forsythe to 6.
I haven't seen a match this lopsided since Forsythe played in the World's Team competition and smacked Sam Lau around.
Oh, there's
Hello.
something. Living Terrain doesn't actually block any of those guys that Gary has, but at least it's a creature at this point.
It serves.
Yep, he's going to come over for 6.
6. That puts you at 8.
It's going to make it 8-6 in favor of Wise.
Well, if Wise attacks with everything again next turn, he can only knock Forsythe to 1.
And he has Spore Frog. Forsythe has Spore Frog, so
Yeah, I figured why.
he can Fog for a turn and then swing with the terrain again.
Wise must have something else up his sleeve. He's
Maybe a chump blocker.
risking his life total here.
6.
I think Fog Frog is about to be fired.
Yep. Yep, and Forsythe does exactly that. He fogs, no damage that turn from creatures.
Well, Turian.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
That's pretty good right now. That's Carrion Wall. It's 1 and 2 black mana for a 3/2 wall. More importantly, it regenerates, so that's going to shut down the Living Terrain.
Living Terrain may be bigger, but Carrion Wall will regenerate every time the Living Terrain kills it.
Forsythe's got something. Keldon Berserker, not exactly optimal right now.
No, and Wise has got those 5 power worth of, well, 2 flyers and a fear creature. He looks like he'll be able to deal 5 and knock Forsythe to 1. Forsythe's got to come up with something quick, or he's going to die 2 turns from now. Oh, 7 mana. That can't be good.
Steel Strength means he dies right now. Let's see if Gary goes for the win, or
Right.
sure looked like he had one of the big guys in his hand.
Oh, you're at 1.
Oh, boy.
Sever Soul.
That's Sever Soul. That's going to kill the Living Terrain. And, more importantly, going to give Gary 6 points of life off the toughness.
Right, Wise's life total pretty safe, pretty high.
I'm sorry, you gained 6.
Forsythe's got to come up for answers to 3 different creatures right here.
Or do 14 in one
Yes, you're at
turn.
8.
Go ahead.
Does that card do 14 points of damage?
Don't think so.
Nope. Monkey Cage. Pretty good card. Not what he
Yep.
needs.
That's a concession, and Gary Wise wins game 2 and the match.
Potato Nation takes a 1-0 lead.
One more, boys.
We are Potato Nation. We were arguing about the team name, and some people call me the Potato. I don't know why. It sounded like a fun name. It fit us well, and some of us kind of look like potatoes, maybe.
The reason that we've been able to succeed in this tournament is because of the fact that we've all been very consistent players in singles. We definitely had a plan coming in that we wanted to put blue on the left. We felt we would probably put green on the right, and the middle we would kind of adjust from there. I think the final between us and Car Acrobatic Team is going to come down to 2 really important factors. I think first of all, there's the fact that Mike basically taught their team how to draft. Second of all, we beat them in the Swiss rounds. Scott and I both have absolutely insane decks, and I think we'll be able to just like tear our respective opponents to shreds.
We'll be right back. If some of you are wondering about the strategy or technical terminology used in Magic the Gathering, here's an opportunity to learn more about this game. Magic is a trading card game. The object is to reduce your opponent's score from 20 to 0. To do that, players send their creatures against each other in waves, always seeking a lapse in the defense or an opening to exploit. To get you up to speed, here are the 3 basic types of cards. Creature cards attack and damage the opposition, and they can be used to block attacks. Then you have spell cards, each with an effect on the game that helps you or hinders your opponent. Land cards are the resources. With more land in play, the creatures get bigger and the spells get more devastating. Magic requires planning, tactics, and the ability to think fast. They say you can learn how to play immediately, but mastering the game can take a lifetime. Here's more on the decks.
Mike is playing a blue-red deck that uses a few suboptimal cards like Golf Squid and Trickster Mage. Mike's plan is to use his high-power, low-casting cost creatures like Fault Riders and Spur Grappler to pick away at Andrew's life total early, setting himself up to win with a Swarm, some direct damage, or a Flyer later on.
Andrew's card quality is better than Mike's for the most part. The most noticeable edge comes in the form of Andrew's not 1, but 2 Rootwater Commandos. This 2/2 creature is fairly innocent most of the time, but in a blue-on-blue matchup, the Island Walk ability of the Commando makes all the difference.
So Mike took game 1 in a commanding fashion, taking advantage of a subpar draw on Andrew Cuneo's part by overwhelming him in the early game.
Yeah, Turian's known for playing aggressive decks. If anyone can win with the assortment of mediocre but cheap creatures that he drafted, it's Mike Turian.
So Cuneo is led with Belby's Percher, which is a 2/2 flyer for 2 and black mana. Can only block flyers, but he managed to trade it with Mike's Ribbon Snake.
No blocks.
Using a Seal Strength, which gives +1/+1 to one creature and -1/-1 to another creature. Mike played a Spur Grappler, which is a 2/1 ground creature. If all your lands are tapped, he becomes 4/2. He's pretty good in an aggressive deck, and he's good early when all your lands are tapped. Andrew didn't play anything on his 5th turn. Mike, his best play here would probably be to use a lot of his mana and then send the Spur Grappler over for 4.
Makes a lot of sense if he's got a 4-mana spell or a land and a 5-mana spell.
Yep.
Either play that Spur Grappler. It's normally 2/1, but if you're tapped out, it magically grows to 4/2.
Blue. Turn it into my hand.
Yeah, Turian's going to draw a couple cards and then figure out what his plan is.
The same gush we saw in game 1, I believe. So Turian has 2 blue mana in his pool to use as he wishes. Gonna replay a land.
Probably means he's got something big.
Yep.
Played that land before attacking with a Spur Grappler. Golf Squid, not exactly large.
What's Golf Squid do? I think it taps all of Andrew's lands.
Cuneo's leading over to read it. What does that thing do? Not a card that people usually put in their deck. Turian just did not wind up with a lot of good cards in his deck.
No, we saw all the good ones in game 1.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to let him come into play, though.
It's interesting, though, if Cuneo had any plans for his land on this turn.
No. Target player. I could tap myself, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know if I want to let you do that. It's really bad for me.
Potato Nation is a pretty experienced team, Randy. They have a lot of Pro Tour points. They've been on the Pro Tour for a long time.
Yeah, this is really sort of the veterans versus the new guys, if you think about it. I mean, Turian, one of the most respected limited players in the game. His teammates, Gary Wise, Scott Johns, a lot of experience as well. Scott Johns is actually in his 5th Pro Tour top 8. Only John Finkel, Darwin Castle, and Ule Rade have that many top 8s. So, a lot of experience on the one side.
Okay, so Andrew is going to submerge the Spur Grappler in response to the Golf Squid.
Right.
If he let that Golf Squid resolve, it would have tapped all his lands and he wouldn't have been able to use that.
Fair enough.
Seal of Fire.
Sure.
And there's a Seal of Fire. That's probably going to do it for Mike's turn.
Seal of Fire is probably going to kill Belby's Percher here. Deal 2 damage, get this flyer out of the way so it stops damaging Mike's life total.
Yep, there it goes. Okay, so the Percher is destroyed and Andrew gets to take his turn.
Yeah, I said this is kind of the veterans and the new guys, but a lot of people, the people who know him realize he, one of the best minds in the game, actually gave birth to the draw go deck that dominated Magic for a couple of years. Well, he wasn't the one playing it on the Pro Tour, but he designed it and everybody sort of tipped their hat to him for having some really good ideas.
The winners of Pro Tour New York will make their bid to join the players on this list, as each one will take home $20,000 in prize money.
I'm Aaron Forsythe of the Car Acrobatic Team. Andrew Cuneo is from the old school of Magic, and he just has an innate sense of how to build decks and which cards are better in which matchups. Andrew Johnson's from the new school of Magic, and he likes just attacking people all the time, and I try to tie it all together. I've played under pressure situations before, and I'm just trying to have a good time. It takes a lot of communication to make a good team. When we first started playing, we used to argue an incredible amount, get very angry with each other, but we ironed all that out. Our strategy today is to defend ourselves from their amazing decks and sneak in for a few measly points where we can, but come away victorious.
We now rejoin Game 2 of the match between Mike Turian and Andrew Cuneo. When we left you, Andrew had just played a Scandalmonger and made Mike discard a card with its ability. Now it's Mike's turn, and he is trying to decide whether to use his mana to play out his hand or to use it to activate Scandalmonger's ability and make Andrew discard some cards right back.
So it looks like Mike is going to use 2 of his mana to make Andrew discard a card, and he's going to play Cloudskate as well. Cloudskate's a 2/2 fading creature, comes into play with 3 fading counters.
Yeah, Turian used 2 of his mana to activate the Scandalmonger and make Andrew discard a card. The other 2 created the Cloudskate. Yeah, the fact that Cuneo has 6 lands means he can make Turian discard 3 cards a turn. Turian,
pretty good
only
right now.
4 lands, can only make Cuneo discard twice, or once and cast a Cloudskate. Yeah, I think Cuneo's card quality seems to be coming out in this game. You're seeing
Mike's getting stuck with the 2/2 dorks.
Yeah. Gulf Squid and, turn 7 Cloudskate don't usually get it done. If there's anybody who can win with those, it's Mike Turian.
Interesting. Andrew chooses to attack with the Scandalmonger. Gonna let Mike kill it, perhaps.
I'll pay 4 life. Snuff out the Cloudskate.
Or not.
Or not.
Kills the Cloudskate after Turian's declared it as a blocker. Now the 3/3 Scandalmonger can just kill the Gulf Squid and live to tell about it.
Not only that, but he uses the alternate casting cost on Snuff Out, which is going to leave him 6 mana open, available to just wreck Mike's hand right here.
Wow.
Wow. Good turn for Andrew Cuneo.
Jeez. Where did Turian's position go? There's no creatures, there's no cards left in his hand except that, I think, 1. What a turn by Andrew Cuneo.
That was pretty amazing.
Sure. Good.
Fall Rider's decent creature. That'll prevent Scandalmonger from attacking anymore, but
Mike's going to lose that last card in his hand, that's for sure.
Yes, he is.
And there it goes.
Bye-bye Dehydration.
Wow.
It was a pretty good card, too. And there's Fence Stalker.
Oh, and Fence Stalker.
Boy, Andrew Cuneo has played this game perfectly.
Yeah, he has.
He timed Scandalmonger perfectly. He set Turian up, got Turian to double block Scandalmonger, knowing that it was just a setup. It was just, I'll attack. If you block, he 2 for 1'd him with the Snuff Out. He's like 5 for 1'd him with the Scandalmonger.
Sure.
And now Cuneo does a pretty good trick. He activates Scandalmonger 3 times, even though there are no cards in Turian's hand, because this guy, the Fence Stalker, can't be blocked so long as Cuneo's tapped out. Cuneo just wanted to get all his mana tapped.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good right now.
Brainstorm. Sure.
Andrew Cuneo casts Brainstorm. It's going to let him draw 3 cards. Going to have to put 2 back, but you get to look a little deeper in your library with Brainstorm.
Sort of sets himself up for the next 3 turns of the game.
Pretty popular card in Constructed, so it usually translates well to limited games. He's made his decision. Let's see what he picked.
Great.
Oh, combo. Yeah, he takes Seal of Removal. That's going to return Fault Riders to Mike's hand, only for a moment, though, as Scandalmonger's ability
Wow,
is
and
going to
Turian just
remove
draws a
Fault Rider.
land.
Oh, wow. Oh, so that's a concession, and Andrew Cuneo wins Game 2 and ties the match at 1-1.
The key play came when Andrew used Snuff Out to kill one of the 2/2 creatures that were attempting to block and destroy the attacking Scandalmonger. Thanks to Snuff Out, the 3/3 Scandalmonger lived to polish off a lone Gulf Squid and, more importantly, stuck around to make Mike discard a total of 6 cards.
With Gary Wise winning the only match to be completed thus far, the team score stands Potato Nation 1, Car Acrobatic Team 0.
Scott Johns is now in his 5th Pro Tour Top 8, but he has yet to win a match in any of them. Even in the semifinals of this event, Johns lost his match, but both his teammates won. If you look closely, you might be able to see an actual monkey sitting right in the middle of Scott Johns' back.
Andrew Johnson thinks he has the better deck for this matchup because of large flyers like Charmed Griffin and Flowstone Thopter, especially if he can defend them with Troubled Healer. If Johnson doesn't win quickly, though, he could have trouble dealing with Scott Johnson's Vitalizing Wind or War Cadence.
Scott pulled out a close game 1, and game 2 is even tighter, but it looks like the stalemate might be about to break.
Yeah, Johns has been talking out loud to himself, his deck, the audience. He's basically given away the fact that he has a game breaker in his hand. If it's Vitalizing Winds, then he just needs one more land and he'll be able to cast it.
God, it's time to be the man. It's so time to be the man.
Scott says it's time to be the
How many
man.
times I've sat in a chair just like this.
Are you the man, Scott?
This one. This one's the time. This one is.
Who are you trying to convince, Scott? Us or you?
Looks to the sky. That's not a happy look. That is not a happy look.
Oh, I think it is a happy look.
Flowstone Thopter sat back last turn.
Well, now there's even more math to do.
Oh, there's land number 9.
Boy, Scott has that look like he's going to tap everything. Well, maybe not.
All right, here come the gliders and the Falcon. Just 3, Scott? Or are you going to come over on the ground? Takes his hand off. 3 flyers.
No, I'm just tapping them.
All right, I'll give my
They
Flowstone
are
Thopter
coming
fly.
over.
Yep. There's 2 blockers. So Johnson's going to put 2 flying blockers in front of 2 of the flyers. One of the flyers is going to get through. So if Scott Johns really does have Vitalizing Wind, Johnson will be forced to sacrifice 5 lands to keep himself alive.
He blocks the 2 gliders, and here's
there
the
it
wind.
is.
Oh, wow.
Everything gets +7, +7. He's got to prevent 10 to himself. That leaves him 2 lands.
Yep.
So he could prevent 4 to one of the creatures, and that's just not good enough to keep either one of them alive.
Nope.
They both die.
Yep, he's going to lose both his blockers.
So Johnson left the Thopter back. He survives this turn by sort of reading Scott Johns, figuring out what's in his hand.
Wow, awesome turn for Scott Johns there.
Does this help?
He said it was time to be the man. I guess he was the man.
Scott Johns may get the monkey off his back. He's pretty excited about it.
I don't either! Shoot match.
That's the match. And Potato Nation takes the Team Pro Tour in an exciting Game 2. Scott Johns is the winner.
Oh, my.
So the monkey's finally off his back, and Scott Johns and Potato Nation are Team Pro Tour champions.
The key play in the deciding match came when Johns finally drew his 9th land and was able to then cast Vitalizing Winds, giving all his creatures +7/+7. Johnson's Troubled Healer kept him alive for 1 more turn, but he had to sacrifice so much land that a comeback was impossible.
Potato Nation pulls it out and takes home first place, earning an impressive $60,000. $20,000 of that will go to a very happy Scott Johns.
I've been playing since '94. That is absolutely the most intense, most difficult match, most game I have ever had to try and win. He was an amazing opponent. I was very lucky to pull it out.
So for Worth Wolpert and Randy Buehler, I'm Todd Harris saying so long from New York City. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.